morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone out there. You are live on Gambian Talents TV, and welcome back to another edition of the Gambian Talents Forum, where we discuss issues of national interest. And then in today's edition, we'll be discussing about the issue of ID card. We all know that it has been a while that Gambians are not issued ID card. And then it is of recent that we have that our president, His Excellency President Adam Barrow, his family, the Vice President, were issued an ID card. And then the issuing of ID card will be open to the general public next month on the 1st of October. And then the cost of it is $450. And then the contract is given to Simlex, a Belgium company here in the Gambia, wherein they will be issuing ID cards to Gambians. But the contract was not given to Pristine, a Gambian company. Today in the forum, we have here Honorable Madi Ceesay, a National Assembly member for Serekunda West, under the ticket of UDP, and then he has a broad knowledge about the issue of ID card. We've all known that it has been a while that Gambians were not issued ID card, as I rightly mentioned earlier, and then some people were underage, some lost their ID cards and cannot get them back, and then some their ID card was expired and then they cannot renew them. But as of now, they are issuing ID cards, which is of public interest, and then everyone is in a haste to go and get it. But then unfortunately the price is too high, from $200 to $450. Now we are here with Madi Honorable Madi Ceesay, to learn more from him, and then stay tuned, and then you learn more from Madi Ceesay. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Aida, and thank you for having me on your show.
Okay, Madi, Honorable rather, we want to know how those Simlex come in existence.
That's a very interesting question. I know Simlex as a company whose credibility is under a big question mark, not only in their home country, Belgium, where they are being investigated for corruption and other corrupt practices. And I also know that Simlex is a company that has been associated with other countries in the matter of issuing ID cards and passports, biometric ID cards and passports, countries that have discontinued their contract with them simply because they're not satisfied and they see Simlex as a company that is corrupt. That's all I know about Simlex. Simlex coming into the picture of Gambia's ID card was way back during the Jammeh regime, when the then former Interior Minister Usman Sonko time, Simlex was given a contract to produce biometric ID cards for Gambians. After a few months, the then former President Jammeh discovered that the whole thing was single-handedly issued and the contract was cancelled by the Jammeh regime. Until there was a change in government, when the new dispensation came into power, then Simlex again expressed interest, and a Gambian company, Pristine, also expressed interest. And it's not a secret that most Gambians know the first biometric ID cards was issued by Pristine company, which is a Gambian company. And when both companies expressed interest, they were at one point asked to bid. As far as I know, Pristine, the Gambian company, bidded, but Simlex refused to bid, arguing that their contract is still in contract. As a result, they refused to bid, and the deadline passed. The only bidder then was Pristine. But unfortunately, the contract is given to SEMLEX to produce our national document, a very important document for that, because ID card is a primary document to other documents, national documents, like passports, like birth certificates, like voters cards. So it's a very important document.
Oh, okay. You've mentioned that SEMLEX credibility is in a big question, and then you've mentioned something like corruption. So do you think it is safe for the Gambia to be given contract to such corrupt company?
My position on that is SEMLEX should not be given the contract since they are on the investigation in their own country, Belgium. What would have been better for the Gambia? Because we will still assume, I'm not saying that they are corrupt, they are alleged to be corrupt and they are on the investigation. And it is a common knowledge to say that an accused person remains innocent until the person is proven guilty by a competent law court. So my position is we should not have in the first place given our contract to SEMLEX because its credibility is on question. It is being investigated. It is alleged to be corrupt. The fact that they are alleged, what would have been better for the country is to put SEMLEX aside, give this contract to an independent company until SEMLEX's name is cleared in the courts in Belgium. Then Gambia can consider giving them the contract. But under the circumstances, I wouldn't advise government to give contract to SEMLEX because its credibility is under question, its integrity is under question. Therefore, what it will imply, it is going to drag the good name of Gambia in the mud. That's my position.
Okay, is it that the contract was signed during the former regime and then it was laid down and now they want to raise up the contract that it has already been signed that they are going to make the ID card?
The contract was first signed during the first regime under the Interior Minister Usman Sonko, and later that contract was reversed by an executive order from the then president. So it remains like that until there was a change. Then SEMLEX come back again. And their argument is their contract is still valid. That is it. But how valid that contract is questionable. I think we should be guided by people who are familiar with the law to really go into the matters and make sure that the Gambia is safe. Because for me, the contract was cancelled by the first government. So their position is that contract is valid, and the Justice Minister was on several occasions in the public eye saying that they have not awarded the contract, but rather they are only renewing it, meaning that he concurred that they have a valid contract. That's the position of the minister, and I guess that is the position of government. But I have a dissenting position to that. I don't agree with what the minister is saying.
Okay, how do you get to know about the deal of SEMLEX deal?
As a citizen, as a politician, as a journalist myself, I educate myself. I read in the papers, both international and local. I go in and out. I had opportunity of laying my hands on the contract, some of these contracts that they are saying that they are still valid. The contract that they signed, the contract that was cancelled. I was privileged to lay my hands on those documents as a journalist, as a politician, because I am representing people and I'm also a journalist. That's my background.
Someone is asking, he is Pa Usman, he said, ask him how much power as MPs do they have over other arms of government and public officials, including the president and mayors?
Well, to answer the question, members of parliament are empowered by the constitution. We are only answerable to our electorates. any other person in the country is answerable to the members of parliament. I guess that answers his question. Whether it's the president, whether you're a minister, whether you're a director, they are all answerable to the National Assembly members. The National Assembly members are empowered by the Constitution. They are only answerable to their constituent people who elected for them, who elected them rather. So our bosses are our electorates. They can recall us. If you go to the Constitution, if they have certain percentage, if they sign, they can recall you back and then you will lose your seat. But the president cannot make me lose my seat. The ministers cannot make me lose my seat. Directors cannot make me lose my seat. I am not answerable to them. They are rather answerable to me. If I rely on the Constitution, we can recall any minister. We can even ask the president to come to the parliament and give us some clarifications. The president is the president of the Republic of the Gambia, the highest office in the country for that matter. But there's a separation of powers between parliament, executive, and the judiciary. But we all have our powers.
Okay, thank you very much. According to the research that we've made, we've come across like Simlex are given a break tax. So do you think that it is fair for Simlex not to be paying any tax, whilst other companies in the Gambia are paying tax?
If that is the case, I think that's a new area for me to learn, and then I will do my findings on that. But as far as I know, this country is tax-based. So you cannot have a company operating in this country, making money in this country, and you are given a break, tax break. That's a new area for me, and it is of great interest to me. I will go deeper and find out. But that wouldn't be fair.
How did you feel when you heard that Simlex are producing ID cards, and then the president, his family, and the vice president, who is indeed the party leader of UDP, had collected their ID cards, and then the general public will be collecting theirs next month, October, rather on the 1st?
When I had the announcement over the radio, I was disappointed. Disappointed in the fact that I am one National Assembly member who have been speaking on this issue in the National Assembly, and I'm one of the National members that has pushed to a point where the whole National Assembly has agreed, and there is a select committee, which is the Select Committee on Defense and Security, which are asked to investigate the entire awarding of this contract. So the fact that that investigation is going on, and the executive went ahead and gave the contract to Simlex, I am really disappointed, because I think the executive need to be listening to the National Assembly, because these are arms of government that they have to be listening to one another. So I would have thought the best thing government would have done was, as far as Simlex is under investigation in their own country, and in this country the awarding also is being investigated by a parliamentary committee, everything should be put on hold until the outcome of the investigations. That is my position. So the fact that they are giving and the fact that they have started issuing, I am disappointed.
So you've mentioned something like investigation. How far is the process gone?
Even this morning, I have a privileged information that the Interior Minister, the Director of Immigrations were in the National Assembly to answer questions. So the investigation is ongoing.
Okay. So based on the investigation, what do you think can be the outcome?
I wouldn't want to preempt that. I'm not a member of the Select Committee, but I can tell you that the Select Committee on Defense and Security are investigating the awarding.
Okay, I know that the contract was signed during the former regime. Do you know whether it was tabled before the National Assembly?
I wouldn't know, because I was not a member of the National Assembly. That was in the Second Republic. I wouldn't know.
Okay, so if at all you were in the former regime, like you were a member of parliament in the former regime, and then such a contract is imposed to the Gambia, how will you act differently?
Actually, every contract has a process. If the contract went through the due process of the processes, and there was fair play, and it was given to a winner, people bid and a winner gets it, I would have no problem with that.
Okay. If we are maintaining like the contract of Simlex that was signed in the former regime, then how comes like the changes of price, the ID card change from $200 to $450.
How the prices change, I may not know that. But my position on the price of the ID card now, which is pegged at $450, is, I say that is unreasonable and is unaffordable by ordinary Gambians. Assuming that you are a head of family and you have 5 kids who are all above 18, and you have 3 other adults whose ID cards have expired, and you are the breadwinner, you want to pay for the cost of that at $450, I would say that is unreasonable, is unacceptable, it is unaffordable by the Gambians. It is too much. It is over 125% increment over the previous one, which was at $200. So it's absolutely too much. I think that needs to be reconsidered. That needs to be reconsidered because it's really too exorbitant for another Gambian to extort $450 from him for a primary document like the ID card. ID card, if I have it my way, if it does not go free, at least it will go for nothing more than where it was, the $200. Because it's a primary document, every Gambian needs to have it. So to make everybody to have it, the price must be reasonable, the price must be affordable. But at this current price, I can afford it, some other people can afford it, but ordinary Gambians cannot afford it, especially the people we are representing. It is really too much. That's my position.
So what did the ministers present to the NAMS concerning the issue, the contract of Simlex?
Like I said, these contracts do not necessarily come to the National Assembly. There are procedures and processes that the contract should follow without even coming to the National Assembly. When the due process is followed, the NAMS, we have what is called an oversight function. We will be looking at it, how the processes go, how much it has been given. We will do that as National Assembly members, but it doesn't necessarily have to come to the National Assembly. If it doesn't take the due process, and there is an unfair play, then that's where we can intervene to exert our oversight function. And that is what exactly the National Assembly is doing now. We are exerting our oversight functions to investigate into the entire awarding of the contract. We have no qualms with whether it's given to Semlex or whether it's given to Christine. We are questioning the awarding processes. If that processes are free and fair, we have no problem. But that's why we have our doubts, and that's why the investigation is ongoing now. So what will be the outcome? We'll have to wait and see.
So if the contract with Simlex finishes, what will be the way forward?
You mean if they come to the end of their contract?
Yeah.
Well, another contract will be given. But I am saying, as far as I am concerned, Semlex should be out of the issuing of these ID cards because their credibility is questioned in their own country and other countries in the world. What I am saying is government should have pushed Semlex aside until the investigations are all over by our own National Assembly and by the authorities in Belgium. When Semlex's name is cleared, then they can come and bid. That's my position.
Do you think that the government is aware of Semlex Crop Act in Belgium?
I would say yes. Like I said, I have been talking about this Semlex contract. I have been talking about these ID cards for almost 1.5 years in the parliament. I have tabled documents. So I have asked parliamentary questions. And the minister said yes. We are aware. The justice minister told us that he is aware and the government is aware that Semlex is being investigated in Belgium. But his answer is even the Belgians are doing business with Semlex even though they are being investigated. That is the Minister of Justice position. My position as National Assembly member is that once the Semlex company is under question, we should put them aside, presume them innocent until they are really found guilty or non-guilty. But until that happens, and until the parliamentary investigations are over, Gambia government should not do any business with Semlex. That is my position as a National Council member.
Have you ever engaged Pristine, the Gambian company, at any time during the process?
During the process of what?
During the process of the Semlex contract or the issue?
Well, like I said, I did my own investigations. I am able to get some information, and based on those informations, that was my basis of argument in the parliament until, the Select Committee on Defense and Security are assigned by the entire parliament to investigate Semlex. So I've done my investigations. As an investigator, I cannot tell you who I talked to, but then I be rest assured that I have done my own investigations as a member of parliament and also with a journalistic background. I have done a lot of investigation on this issue.
But were they engaged, Pristine? Were they engaged?
Well, I wouldn't tell you who I have engaged during my investigations, but I have done my investigations. If you want to talk to Pristine, you are at liberty to go and talk to them. But I cannot tell you who I have engaged during my investigations. Okay. But I did investigations, and I still with me. I have facts with me. Yes, and I'm still standing by those facts and documents.
Okay, when was the last time you heard anything about the project?
Semlex?
Yes.
Just on Thursday, last Thursday, during the adjournment debate, I mentioned this ID card. I mentioned the issue of government awarding contracts, and I said clearly during the adjournment debate, I want government not to give this contract to any of the parties that has ever expressed interest in the issuing of ID cards until the parliamentary inquiries are over. So that was just last Thursday. 2 days ago, I monitored the news bulletin over the national radio when they said they've given the contract to Semlex, and then the president and the vice president and the first ladies are also giving their ID cards, and the general public will start getting the ID cards come October 2018. That was just 2 days ago, through a radio news bulletin. So I'm following the developments, and I will keep following it to the end.
Okay, so based on the investigations that the National Assembly is doing, if Semlex is found guilty by Belgium, will within the 5 years of the contract, will the Gambia end the contract?
Certainly, if the Belgian authorities found Semlex guilty of the alleged corrupt practices in Belgium, then I, as a member of National Assembly, will be vindicated, and the entire National Assembly will be vindicated if something is not done before that. If anything is not done before that, then we'll be vindicated, and then we'll assert our powers, and we'll make sure that there is a immediate stop to the contract, because we cannot deal with a corrupt company. You know what that means to the nation as a Gambia? Do you know that? There is this international money laundering. UN bodies, World Bank and others, IMF, are all watching. So if Semlex is found wanting, then that's going to be too bad for the Gambia government, because we are dealing with a criminal if they are found wanting. So it will be very serious.
So does it mean that if they are found wanting, the Gambia government will be involved too in the crime?
The Gambia as a country can be punished. Can be punished, because if the money laundering is something that is found, they are found guilty of that, and we are dealing with them, then it's like you deal with it. If you deal with a thief, your circumstances is very similarly the same. So if that happens, I pray that does not happen. But if that happens, that's not good for the Gambia, and that is why I have been speaking against this issue of ID cards being given to Semlex. I have no problem with Semlex. I don't even know them as a company. But my worry is their integrity is questioned by their own government. They have been investigated in other parts of the country. My fear is, let's put them aside until all the investigations are over. If they are clean, we continue to do business with them. If they are not clean, then we do business with others. In fact, Semlek or Pristin before that, we have had ID cards issued by our own immigration department. As an interim measure, I would have thought government would have used the immigration department and issued Gambians ID card, because the issuance of ID cards is long overdue. An interim measure could have been in place by our immigration department to give us ID cards, put all the Semleks and the prisons aside until the investigations are over. Then the process can go on. That's my position as a member of parliament.
Okay, you were voted in by the Serekunda West under the UDP ticket. Did you at any point feel like betraying your party by taking a hard-line position on the ministers?
No. My party is a very democratic party. In fact, our name implies United Democratic Party. This is a party that is not controlled from the back by party executives. We speak freely in the National Assembly. We act freely so far as our conscience are guiding us. So my party would not be disappointed. My party executive would not be disappointed, because I have asked questions in the National Assembly. I have spoken about this issue during the adjournment debates, and not a single executive member of the United Democratic Party has ever called my attention to say you shouldn't say this. Our party is a democratic party, and they allow us to act freely in the interest of this nation. No problem with them.
This is not the first time you are taking stand to represent the people who voted for you in. Do you at any point fears that the next election UDP will not allow you to be voted under their ticket?
No, I don't have that fears. You see, I have come a long way, and then I have passed through various channels. I have done so many works, and like I told you in the beginning, I'm a journalist by profession. I can survive on my profession. And in fact, I was surviving on this profession to date. And even today, I am surviving on my profession as a journalist, because I am running my newspaper. So I have no fears of whether I will be selected by my party or not. That's not my problem. When the time comes, I will apply like any other eligible UDP bona fide member. And let me tell you, UDP has more qualified people than I to represent them. They have many more qualified people like myself in Serekunda West. So the party is far bigger than me. And whether I'm selected by my party or not, I'm still UDP. And I'll continue to be UDP. That would not distract me at all. In fact, I will, if I don't serve the UDP in the capacity as a National Assembly member, I can always serve my party in another capacity. That is not an issue for me.
That is a good reaction. Some people are arguing that the National Assembly is a rubber stamp National Assembly. What is your take?
That's a very unfair statement. That is a very unfair statement. I can say that for the third time. Whoever said that is an unfair statement. You cannot call this National Assembly a rubber stamp National Assembly. This National Assembly, the United Democratic Party has the largest number of members. We are 31 elected members in the National Assembly. There are bills that were brought by some UDP ministers, and we throw them back. So how are we a rubber stamp? The composition of the National Assembly as we speak today, members of the United Democratic Party, members of the PPP, members of the APRC, members of PDOIS, members of NRP, members of the GDC, and independent members is, I'm not saying Gambia will never have such a parliament, but it will be very difficult. This is not close to a rubber stamp at all. Whoever said that, it's your opinion, you are entitled to it, but I can tell the person that that is an unfair statement.
You've mentioned that UDP do bring some bills or brought some bills that you throw away. Can you please tell us what those bills were?
There was a time when the then finance minister brought an agreement and we threw it out.
What makes you?
And there was a time when our own party leader, who was then the foreign minister, brought something and we disagreed. So this is an independent party, and this parliament is nowhere close to a rubber stamp. But we are guided by our concepts. And we are human beings like anybody who is outside the parliament. So if bills come, we discuss them based on their merit. We pass them based on their merit. We throw them out based on their merit. That's it. So we are not rubber stamp. When I say we, I mean the entire members of the entire 58 members of the National Assembly, including all other parties. We are not close to a rubber stamp. People can say that, they have their opinion. Everybody has a right to your opinion. I have a right to my opinion to say that whoever said that, that statement is unfair to us.
Some people believe that the current government does not respect the National Assembly members because there are few projects that you guys have concern with, but still those projects
You know, like I said in the beginning, government has three arms and there are separations in the arms: the legislative, the judiciary, and the... But where more members agree, that would go ahead. So that is also bills are passed based on consensus. Doesn't mean that there are no dissenting voices there, but if the majority says yes to a certain particular bill, it passes. And I don't think that is government not respecting the National Assembly. We are not excluded from government. We are an arm of government. When you say the government of the Gambia includes us, the National Assembly members, includes the judiciary, includes the executive. So who are you saying the government? We are part of the government.
So what is your take on the $230 million used by the government as per diem and travel expenses for the first 6 months within a year?
You see, government is very big, and there are various departments. I know among the government departments, the President's office and followed by the National Assembly. So when you say government, you see the structures. Even National Assembly is part of government. Those per diems, those 230 million spent on travel allowances, includes members of the National Assembly, includes departments, include all officials of government. I am not privileged to tell you how many people are on government's payroll. So if you look at, if you are able to know the number of people on government's payroll and you compare the amount of money paid on travel allowances, maybe that is the time one can make a decision. Maybe next time when I come here, if I'm able to have the role of government employees, then I will be able to tell you whether it is reasonable or not reasonable. But my fair opinion on the travel allowances is, we as a government, a third world government and a government in transition, we need to downsize our travel delegations. If we are traveling with 20, it is high time we reduce the number so that it is reasonable. We should downsize the number, both presidential delegations, other department delegations, government delegations traveling outside the country. It's high time government put in a measure in place to make sure that those sizes of delegations are downsized and the number of days spent outside also are downsized. I know government is doing some efforts towards that because the class of travels, like the first class and business classes, at one time has been, certain categories were exempted from traveling in the business classes, and they now travel in the economic class. These are all efforts to cut down the cost. But I think we need to cut down the cost more.
So what was the mood at the National Assembly member when this huge amount of money was announced?
We all feel the same. We feel that we need to downsize the numbers. Nobody can stop government officers traveling, including us National Assembly members. But then it's high time that we start to downsize the number of delegations. If, for example, currently the president is in New York attending a conference, UN conference. If, for example, the delegation list comes and they give him about, let's say, 50, the best thing to do is to slice it down to 30 or 25. That's the way we can cut down the cost, because he has to go to that UN assembly because we are members of the UN. But then we need to downsize our numbers so that the money can be minimized. We need those monies for other sectors for development. This country lacks road infrastructure. Even within the KMC, we need roads within KMC. Go into my constituency. You don't have much good roads there. Few good roads. The rest are just big roads with potholes and all whatnot. Some of the roads are even on motorway. We need monies to go and develop ourselves. Some of our development goals.
Some people argue that you guys didn't say anything about it because you also benefited. Is that the case?
No, that is not the case. In fact, how did the public come to know about it? It was a parliamentary question. And that parliamentary question comes from the majority leader, Honorable Keba Barrow, who is the leader of the United Democratic Party in the House. He was the one who asked that question. If it was not out of interest, we wouldn't have asked that question. So that's not fair. We asked that question, that is why the public were able to know how much government has spent on travel expenses. And it was hotly debated. It attracted several supplementary questions. That shows the amount of interest members of parliament have concerns about that. It's not because we traveled. That's why we are quiet about it. We can't be quiet about it. I told you, if you rank it, National Assembly come the 4th or 5th. Tell the person that question comes from us. Honorable Keba Barrow asked the Minister of Finance how much government is spending on travel expenses. So it is a concern to us. That's why I asked the question.
The president made a claim that the $230 million is not a big amount of money. Do you agree with him?
I said the money is huge if you look at our Gambia, our size. We are small though, but I think the money is huge. What I have told you a few seconds ago is size the money. It is huge. But look, the president is a human being like I am. I can differ in opinion with the president. That's normal. That is the president's opinion. But I differ. I'm saying it's huge. Size we need to limit it. But that does not make him not to be my president. Of course he's my president. But I have a different opinion with him. That's normal.
So out of the $230 million, how much came into your pocket?
The National Assembly.
Yeah.
The National Assembly, government spent a little over $12 million on the National Assembly. And the foreign minister and I think the other ministry, a little over 20 million was spent on them. Others were 9 million, others 1 million, others less million. Few hundreds of thousands of millions.
So those millions are spent based on travel expenses?
Of course, yes.
Oh, okay.
You know, when you travel, you leave this country. Where you are going. It's government's responsibility to pay for your fares to go there. So your per diem is pegged on the living cost of where you go. That's it. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't look like you have to share these millions and put in our pockets. No, most of these monies are left in those countries.
So nothing was put in the pocket.
No, we use it to pay and our per diem to live. You cannot take me to Belgium, for example, for 5 days meeting. I have to feed myself. So government has to give per diem means to feed yourself while you are out of your country. When you are here in the country, you are not giving per diem because you feed yourself, you are living in your house. But when government sends you on mission outside, it's government's responsibility to pay for your air ticket, pay for your hotels, and feed you.
The Vice President, in a recent interview, announced that the Gambia is currently facing food insecurity. He asked for aid from the international community, yet the president is traveling on private jets. Do you think that is fair to the Gambian people?
The two are not directly related. You see, Presidents' travel is not luxury. Presidents go and travel. Can you remember the last time when he traveled to Belgium? He struck a deal of 17 million US dollars. Was it billion US dollars? Are you not aware of that? So it's not like the president goes on luxury. He goes to look for something for the country. What is spent on him, he should be able to bring more than what is spent on him. And the food insecurity that we are talking about, there are experts that will look at the trend of the rain and can forecast whether this year's rain is good, whether we'll get more food grains or not. If we are not likely to have good rains, it's declared. And then international communities will chip in. And some of those international communities, we are members of them, we pay our dues. It's like bringing something back to us.
So do you think before traveling to other countries using such a huge amount of money, do you think it would be more wiser if we can use that money to develop like the food sector when it comes to agriculture and other sectors?
You see, there are certain contracts, there are certain agreements that will lead you grants and loans that you will get. You cannot get sitting down here in this country. You must travel and meet them. If I want something for my house, I have to leave my house, go out and find it and come back with it. So it's not like you spend all those millions one day. They are spent over a period and they are spent on different missions. We have to look at has come in. So that is how you cannot get those things. You sit down. Government must go. Officials must go. Even those who are big critics of the travels, if they are presidents today, the next day they will travel because they will have to travel because this country needs money. And you cannot sit in the State House and get those monies. No. But I agree that we need to. Where my concern is, the number of delegations need to be downsized. That's where we can cut down the cost. But we cannot stop presidents traveling. We cannot stop government officials traveling. They must travel. Because all the government officers are coming into this country every day. Every day. So you cannot stop travel.
Someone asked a question here, Buba Sumare. He said, is the police going to enforce a law failure to take the ID card for ordinary Gambians, which is so costly?
You see, to take a law, to take an ID card, I will have to do a little bit of research on that. But if I prefer not to take an ID card, no law will force me to take it. Of course, we have seen immigration officers stopping people as they travel inside the country. But traveling inside your country without your ID card is no criminal act. But like I say, I will do a little bit of research on that. Maybe next time when we meet, I would throw more light on that. But I don't think the police can take me to court because I do not have an ID card. There are several documents that can identify you as a Gambian bona fide citizen. Your birth certificate shows that you are a Gambian. ID card is just a laissez-passer. It's just allowing you to pass checks, just to show your identity that you are a Gambian. If I don't have an ID card, I have my passport, I have my voter's card, I have my... The police want to take me to court, let's go to the court. Let's go to the court.
So the issue of the money, that is the $450 that one ID card is costing, is it that the National Assembly should take a step towards it or not?
As I say, National Assembly members have rights to talk about any issue. They have rights to act on any issue. But as I'm telling you here, I'm only one out of the 58. I am saying the money is too much for ordinary Gambians. I am saying more so, the 450 is too much for my people in Serekunda West. If my constituency members in Serekunda West are finding it difficult to pay 450 to get an ID card, I don't know Honorable Bile Tunkara in Kantora or Honorable Fode Drame in Tumana, or Honorable Sidia Jata in Wuli, how their people will feel like, the rural people. If we, the urban, are crying about the cost, what about the rural people? So certainly, I cannot tell you right away that, yes, the National Assembly will do this and that. But I can tell you, we have a stake in national issues. And this is a very important national issue.
We've had that from Honorable Madi Ceesay, and I guess that we all learned from him, and we all heard from him. Time is against us. Honorable, now I'll give you the floor to give out your last message.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show, and I am grateful. I'm grateful to your viewers and your followers, the globe over. And I appreciate talking to your viewers and your listeners.
Thank you very much for having you in the platform today. That was all what we have for you today here in the Gambian Talents Forum. And then we will urge you to be following our pages in YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, to follow our pages to get more information and then more guests in the Gambian Talent Forum, wherein we will be discussing issues of national interest. I was your host here in the studio, Aida Kebe. Thank you very much for watching, and